Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, ma'am, or whether what time you are watching this. We are the Group 7, and our report is about the ATP to ADP cycle. Now, you might be wondering, what is this cycle? Well, the ATP to ADP cycle is a fundamental process in cells where ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, is hydrolyzed to ADP, or adenosine disphosphate, and inorganic phosphate, releasing energy to power cellular network. And then ADP is correlated back to ATP using energy from cellular respiration. Now you might be wondering, what is ATP or ADP? Well, here's a more in-depth or a more well-through explanation of what are these
What is ATP? ATP or antisense triphosphate is a molecule that acts as the primary carrier acid. It is found in all living organisms. Underneath these are sugar and 3-phosphate group. My own understanding is ATP is a main source of often called the energy currency of life. It is stored and releases energy that powers important processes like movement, growth, and
So what is ADP? ADP or adenosine disphosphate is molecule that plays a crucial role in energy transfer within cells. ADP is essentially a product of ATP hydrolysis, the breakdown of ATP to release energy. So it consists of an adenine molecule, is a ribose, sugar, and two phosphate groups. So Adenosines disphosphate or ADP is a molecule that helps our cells store and move energy around. When our body uses up energy, ATP, which has three phosphate groups, breaks down and releases energy. This leaves behind ADP, which only has two phosphate groups. ADP can be turned back into ATP by adding another phosphate. This keeps the energy cycle going. You can compare ADP to a partially charged battery that can be recharged to provide energy once again.
ATP as an energy currency. ATP is a molecule that stores energy in its phosphate bonds. When a cell needs energy for a reaction or a process, it breaks one of these phosphate bonds to release energy. This breakage converts ATP to ADP. ADP is then recycled to form ATP again to completing the cycle. ATP is like fuel for the cell. It gives energy for important tasks like movement, growth, and descending signals. When the cell uses ATP, it breaks off one phosphate groups and become ADP, releasing energy. ADP has less energy, but it can be recharged back into ATP using energy from food. This cycle of ATP turning into ADP and back into ATP happens all the time to keep cells alive and working.
Well, in simple terms, ATP to ADP cycle is the continuous recycling of ATP molecules to store and use energy in a cell. The ATP is like a battery. When the body needs energy to move muscles, think, and grow, ATP loses one phosphate and becomes ADP. That losing of phosphate is the hydrolyzation of the ATP. And after the ATP is used and turned into ADP, The cells in our body recharges the ADP, turning them back into ATP to be used again. This cycle of using ATP and recycling slash recharging ADP happens all the time in our body. It happens very fast and millions of times per second in our cells, keeping us alive and active. That's all. Thank you.